Hi everyone, I'm here at the 2025 Rock and Roller Festival and Auto Show in the village of Wesley Chapel here in North Carolina. This is the first time the show's taken place here at the Village Hall. The first car I encounter is this 1959 Buick Electra 225. What an absolutely beautiful example of 1950s American automobile design. And it's hard to reminisce about the 1950s without conjuring up images of drive-in restaurants and car hops. Speaking of that, check out the tray hanging from the window. Here's a nice looking 1963 Pontiac Grand Prix, followed by this eye-popping candy apple red 1955 Chevrolet Bel Air. This vehicle is an icon among 1950s era cars. In fact, they seem to be present at nearly every car show. Chevrolet built these as a family car. By the late 1950s, they were aging and could be bought relatively cheap. Hot rodders found them ideal for engine, drivetrain, and body mods, and turned them into muscle cars. Today, you'd be hard-pressed to find one that hasn't been customized in some way. This one even has an air conditioner. That was nearly unheard of back in the 1950s. This little blue taillight insert was illegal in some states because it gave the light a purple appearance. There's a real nice turnout at this year's show. Everything from antiques to late models. There's even a few motorcycles and a couple of custom-built automobiles. And what I have here is a 2012 Maserati Gran Turismo. The interior looks amazing. Hidden under all the covers and fairings is a Ferrari 4.7-liter V8 power plant. Next door is a 1955 Chevy Nomad, basically a station wagon version of the Bel Air. Looks like this one survived being customized. I'm guessing that's because hot rodders didn't really see themselves looking too cool in a station wagon. I like it. This little gem is a 1972 AMC Javelin. For you youngins out there, AMC stands for the American Motors Corporation. Over the years, AMC merged with Jeep, which merged with Chrysler, which merged with probably a few others, which today is part of the heritage behind Stellantis. Anyway, AMC is pretty much all but forgotten, except when cars like this Javelin come to these shows. Look, there's a box of 8-track tapes over on the seat. And under the dash, a sweet 8-track player that screams 1970s. Here's a 1970 Datsun 240Z. These were a very popular and very good-looking sports car back in the early 1970s. Built by Nissan, they were marketed in the US under the Datsun name. This car led the way for the Datsun 260 and 280Z models. Finally, in 1984, Nissan dropped the Datsun name in the US and branded their vehicles for what they were, Nissans. This looks like Mustang Corner, with a 1966, a 1965, and a 1971 Mustang. I'll admit I'm a bit partial to this 71 model. Here's a nice looking 1973 Plymouth Barracuda. For the most part, this looks pretty stock under the hood. Plymouth was known for building good-looking muscle cars back in the 1970s. This 73 model was one of the last produced, as Plymouth discontinued the Barracuda in 1974. 440 cubic inch engine, that's 7.2 liters for you metric heads. Next door is this beautifully restored 1934 Ford Coupe. The suicide doors were definitely not a stock feature of this car. The interior is beautifully done with a combination of modern and stock features. Here's a vehicle I remember quite well from my youth. This is a 1964 Chevrolet Corvair. These were very popular economy cars in its day. This was a complete break from how GM traditionally made cars. It has an air-cooled, rear-mounted engine like the Volkswagen Beetle, hence the trunk is up front. However, a fellow named Ralph Nader wrote a book called Unsafe at Any Speed that absolutely demonized the car. Well, Nader's book killed off sales, and Chevrolet scrapped the model in 1969. Over the years, however, the car proved no more dangerous than any other subcompact of the era. Next in line is a pair of Bel Air siblings. One a 1956, and the other its older brother a 1955. I told you these were very popular classic cars among collectors and restorers, and I can see why. They sport that classic look of the 1950s, plus the availability of parts remains extremely good. Definitely not a stock engine in this 55 model. The interiors of both of these vehicles look absolutely fantastic. With small customizations here and there. I just came across this 1984 Chevrolet El Camino, or what we called a truck car as kids. Chevy introduced the El Camino in 1959 in response to Ford's Ranchero. The car was popular for years. However, eventually sales began to diminish, and by 1987, the model was gone from the showroom floors. This seems like a good place to end part 1 of my Explorer of the Rock and Roller Auto Show. Watch for part 2 with a whole lot more amazing looking cars to see. Until then, remember, life is a journey. Enjoy the ride, and thanks for watching.